I was gonna ask you, because I know, and it's so crazy. Everybody think like, if we all black people, if we lived in the hood, that we all grew up the same. And I had to, throughout my journey, I understood that, man, I thought I had it bad. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was living, in poverty, anything like that. But it wasn't. Like, I had a roof over my head. I had food to eat. I had clothes on my back. And I would go outside and I would look at other guys and maybe go to their house and be like, damn, you got 6 people living in your crib? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like your uncle in there on crack, like your mom, like, damn. And I used to be like, man, shit, what am I tripping about? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I love your perspective, man. I love your perspective. When I volunteer in South Africa, I've always said poverty in Chicago is upper class in South Africa. Disappointments aren't reserved for you because you're from the south side or west side of Chicago. It rains on people everywhere. So your perspective, this is a relative poverty. It's not really absolute. And so I love how you say that, man. I agree.
Yeah.
Agree 100%.
Well, Jahmal, man, your story, man, obviously is continuing because you started this amazing organization, my block,
Yeah.
my hood. Hey, man, first of all, I'm loving all three because it represents so much. Like
Yeah.
it just covers everything. But explain to our audience what my block, my hood, my city. What do you guys do, and what is it all about?
Yeah, so when I graduated college at Wayne State, I broke out in tears because I wasn't going to the NBA. I cried real tears. Like, I'm talking about, like, and I walked onto the basketball team and never played. But just dreaming of going to the league kept me from doing drugs. It kept me focused. And so when I realized I was coming to an end, man, I cried real tears, man. I'm talking about, I cried walking across the stage when I graduated. And I was so depressed that I wrote a book called Athletes and MCs, and how those are only 2 ways I ever thought being successful was rap and basketball. And yeah, I started selling those books downtown Chicago in front of Foot Locker on Adams and State. And yeah, man, I started selling that book, and somebody from the jail got the book, and they were like, man, like, they read it, they were like, can you come to Cook County Jail and tell your story to the residents? And I was like, y'all gonna buy some books? And so they're like, yeah. And so they bought some books. I got into the jail, and I was like, where are you guys from? And they was like, man, my block is 21st Street. And he's like, my hood is the low end. And I was like, y'all say my block and my hood like y'all own something. I was like, why don't y'all ever say my city? I was like, oh man, ain't no black people downtown. I was like, what you talking about? So I didn't grow up in Chicago proper, so there ain't no black people in Wicker Park, and and so they said it so much, my block, my hood, and I wanted to expand their thinking from their block and the hood to taking ownership of the city. So
yes,
I put it on a T-shirt, and I just vowed to myself that when I get these kids out of jail. Well, before we left the jail, I said, look downtown. Do you see that Sears Tower? You see the Hancock Building? You see the Aon Tower? Just like the architects built those skyscrapers from the ground up, y'all can be the architects of your own destiny. And so I just stay in the jail and tell these kids, like, you're going to build your own future. And that's how they said it. My block, my hood, my city. I just put it on a shirt. That's how I started it. So.
Wow.
Loving it, man. My goodness, man.
That's amazing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But it started, man, just trying to, my dad, man, I watched the movie Malcolm X so many times growing up. I thought Denzel Washington was Malcolm X. And so when I graduated college, I took my mom's experience teaching me how to speak in church to the jail. And the kids, man, it blew my mind that they had never been downtown. They had never waved for a taxi. They had never been on an elevator. Their whole worldview was shaped by their block or their neighborhood. So I wanted to start a program where when you get out of jail, if you want to work in IT, I'm going to take you to a trading firm downtown. If you live in a neighborhood where there's 15 currency exchanges and there's no banks, if you ask a kid, what's a job at a bank? They don't know. So I take kids to banks to see jobs at banks. It's really simple what I do, man. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
You say it's simple, but the reality is, man, everything you're doing is grassroots. Like,
yes,
you're at the foundation of things. As a matter of fact, man, I was going through your mission statement. I see you got the kind of like that 3 connection going throughout it. But can you explain, man, when you talk about exploring, experiencing, and evolving, let our audience know what that means.
Yeah, man. It's if you show kids better, they do better, man. If they don't know no better, they can't do better. So when I say explore, we can't afford to go to China, but we can go to Chinatown. We can't afford to go to Mexico, we can go to Pilsen. We can't go to India, but we can go to Devon Avenue up north in Chicago. So, like, you can travel the world without leaving Chicago. That's what I love about this place. And then a lot of kids they're disconnected. So I want to connect them to new experiences, meaning that, you know, a lot of kids, they have ramen noodle cook-offs and they want to be chefs. Well, I'm going to take them to the Jordan restaurant so they can actually learn how to run a kitchen, you know. A lot of kids want to be in a league, but if we go to the Soldier Field, the dude cutting the grass get paid $250,000, $300,000 a year. So you don't even got to even catch a football and you can still work, you know, you could be in a league, you know. And so I want to build kids' experiences up and then evolving, man. You know, it's all about like you know, we have to recondition our mindsets to thinking that this is just a shoot 'em up city. You know, I mean, I feel like I've been shot twice, you know, in the last 2 years, and a lot of kids in my program haven't even made it. So I want them to evolve out of thinking that Chicago has to be like this. I want them to be the change that we want to see in the city, basically. So
hey, Jahmal, let me tell you, man, it was so vital, and I don't know if I don't really know if there's a lot of organizations that actually promote this, but I know when I found out, when I moved to the west side from Marshall Field Garden Apartments on Cedric on Hudson Avenue, and that was like right near Cabrini Green. So before I moved to the west side, I lived like a stone throw away from William. So when I moved to the west side, that's when I found out about Isaiah Thomas. And let me tell you, man, if no one has ever had a mentor or someone to look up to, dude, I did that on my own. Like I'm on the court, his name came up, I wanted to know about him. I had to go and open up an encyclopedia to find out about who this guy was and talk to people in my neighborhood. So they was like, dude, he grew up right down the street. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, you crazy? Yeah. He in the NBA. I'm like, shit, if he could do it, I could do it. Dog, that's all I needed for the rest of my life. For me to be able to navigate through West Garfield Park, through drugs, gangs, hanging out with the wrong crowd. It was Isaiah Thomas. Like, he went to Indiana, he went to St. Joe's. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, if I follow his fucking blueprint, I can fucking make it. Like, this I was secretly telling myself, bro. Like, and I never told nobody else that's how I was thinking, but I moved that way. So a lot of my guys, they used to call me, and Gates know this, like if we didn't hang out with them on a corner or at the playground, smoking, drinking, we squares. Well, I'm a motherfucking square then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They called us squares. I got a brother named Angelo. He was a GD. And my other little brother named Pinky, he was in the gang. So I'm seeing them too in this lifestyle, in this world. And that shit did not impress me. The streets, dope boys. I think I'm the only dude in the hood that, I don't know how Will felt, but none of that shit impressed me. Like, they come around with their cars, their clothes. I'm like, that shit don't impress me. I don't want to do what he do. He got to stand out on the corner all day long just to make $50 and risking his life. Shit. I'm finna get on this court. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
And Will had the whole hood behind him, so he couldn't sell drugs. He couldn't go in there and hang out. And he in Cabrini Green, where they recruit you and jump you in the game. This dude had a bubble around him where, you know what I'm saying?
Called the Hooper's Pass. Some of us got it. Some of us got them.
I heard about that in Inglewood. Someone was telling me the head of the jail, he's running for school board, and we had lunch the other day in Beverly, and he was telling me when he grew up in Inglewood, he played baseball, and the gangs would just let him go through. Like, if you had a bag, they would just let you through if you hooped to play baseball. He was telling me this. It ain't like that now, but it used to be like that. And
yes.
And man, I used to say the same thing about my cousins. Like, they were selling dope in front of the basketball court. They would just stand up all day. I would just look at them like, man, what's the point, man? What's the point to this, bro?
Right?
Couldn't be me, bro. Couldn't be me. So,
Jahmal, I want to ask you, man, because I really want people to know your story, man, because I'm so fascinated by it, man.